Could be the least of President Trump's concerns as there is another shakeup in his administration. Dr. Jack Pitney joins us now to take a look at this week in politics. Good morning, Professor. So good to have you here. Well, let's start with the Manafort sentencing because we know that Trump's former campaign manager, Paul Manafort, was sentenced to 4 years in prison. He was facing up to 20 years. Some are saying that this is a very lenient sentence. What's your take on it?
Well, people who've done a lot less have been punished a lot more. And there was some indication of that during the trial. The judge was very critical of the special counsel's office, in fact, of the very existence of the special counsel. So in the end, it's not terribly surprising that he was on the lenient side.
Okay. And this is probably the sentence that he will receive. There's not going to be any appeals, or does he have any recourse?
Well, he has a bunch of things coming up. He has another sentencing in another case, and there is some indication that he has been signaling that he would like a pardon. That's the way he would like it to end, because that cuts off the legal bills. However, the state of New York is readying charges for that very case. So the president cannot pardon in a state case. Right.
Okay. Well, House Democrats launched the most sweeping investigation into President Trump that we've seen. In your opinion, is this a move to impeach the president or just to derail his 2020 reelection campaign?
Well, Democrats are divided on this point. A number of Democrats are openly talking about impeachment. Others, the more senior Democrats, are saying, wait a minute, let's gather more information. Let's wait for the Mueller report, and then we'll decide what to do. And politically, that's probably the wiser course, because the polls show that the American people aren't ready for impeachment yet.
Okay. And another staffer to leave the White House, this time Communications Director Bill Shine, who, of course, was a former high-level executive at the Fox News channel. He was there just less than a year. What do you make of his exit?
Well, he probably anticipated that he wouldn't be there long, because reportedly he didn't even set up his voicemail. And it's very difficult to be a communications director for a president who considers himself to be his own communications director.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we also know that House Democrats voted on an anti-hate resolution this week in response to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's anti-Semitic comments. And we heard President Trump come out this week talking about the Democrats being anti-Jewish, anti-Israel. What's going on here?
Democrats again divided. Some Democrats very strongly in support of a resolution condemning anti-Semitism. Others thought it had a whiff of anti-Islamism. The trouble for Republicans is 23 of them voted against the resolution, and that muddled their message.
Interesting. You keep saying Democrats divided. That's something we saw with the Republicans and Trump. Are they going to have to get back on the same page before the 2020 election to possibly give Trump a run for his money?
This is not a new phenomenon. Will Rogers famously said, "I don't belong to any organized party. I'm a Democrat." Democrats have always been divided, always will be divided. The question isn't conflict resolution, it's conflict management. And if they can manage their conflicts, they're in a good position, but they're never going to get rid of them.
Okay. All right. Professor Jack Pitney, thank you so much for your time and insight. As always, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.